Good morning. As you are welcome here. Visitor, friend, or longtime member, you are welcome here. With little children or your partner or alone, we joyfully welcome you here. You are welcome here as believer or doubter, joiner or loner. You are welcome here, feeling a part of us or not, full of energy or not, seeking a vision or a rest. You are welcome to join us as you are. We acknowledge that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish, Nez Perce, Blackfeet, and Anishinaabe people, and others who shared the Helena Valley as hunting grounds. The indigenous story of the Helena Valley began long before the arrival of Europeans. We honor those who walked here before us. We honor the path they have shown us in caring for this place for generations to come. We strive for justice and fair relations with their descendants. And now, if anybody has any announcements that were not in the email that went out on Friday, or not on the back of the bulletin, the order of service today, we need to hear those announcements now. Okay. That was short. All right, so we're going to light the chalice. So read with me now. As we kindle this chalice, we honor each of our lights within. As we spark this flame, we ignite glowing threads of connection one to another, an entangled web of fire that warms the world. Thank you, Katie. Now would everybody stand as you are willing and able. We're going to sing hymn number 123 in the Singing the Living Tradition Gray hymnal. It's Spirit of Life. And now we have some joys and concerns. Spring is here. A concern. Summer fires. Here's a joy. A bright yellow male American goldfinch has been hanging around our bird feeder and bird bath. Are there any other joys and concerns that people would like to voice?
One of my students is really struggling with mental health issues, and I won't name her, but I just always love my students, and when I find out that they're in trouble, I'm very concerned, so I hope that you'll keep her in your thoughts, even though I'm not going to share her name.
I wanted to give an update of the young boy that was diagnosed with cancer. He went through 2 bouts of chemo, and they scanned him again and found out it was not working. So they're going to have to try alternatives. So it's continued to spread. So we don't know what the ongoing prognosis is going to be, but it's definitely very difficult for the entire family. He's just a young boy.
Catherine.
I came across some research recently where a young boy, ironically, was asked what his last wish was. If he could have anything, what would it be? And he said to go outside. So with all of his life support and everything hooked to him, they wheeled him outside, and he spent 5 hours outside in the sunshine, is what they're giving a lot of the credit to. Polychromatic light, which is sunshine, and wheeled him back in after 5 hours. The next day, they wheeled him back out, and he spent more time outside with friends and family and the sunshine. And each day they tested his levels for life, like his blood work and heart rate and oxygen levels, etc. And within 3 to 4 days, he was in complete remission and stayed in remission for the amount of time that this research has been known. Thank you.
Any others? Okay, now we have a story for all ages. The kids, you feel free to stay right where you're at with your folks. After all, this is a story for all ages. And John will, we have the pictures up there, and John will speak. And by the way, this is John Brown, one of our best friends that we spend a lot of time conversing with and being nourished by at Sunflower Bakery with coffee. Thank you.
I have to do a little adjustment here. More ways than one. Okay, yeah. So it's a delight to be here and being able to share some of my thoughts and ideas with you. And so the story I wanted to share with you is the most important question. Once upon a time, not so long ago, there lived a scientist named Albert Einstein. People called him Dr. Einstein. He liked to think about things, and one idea often led him to another and another, and another. He also enjoyed asking and answering questions. Because he was able to do this, he was known as a wise person. Not all smart people become wise ones. Because he was wise, people came from all over the world to ask him questions. How old are you? Do whales really talk to each other? Is there life on other planets? One day, a small person with a big name and an even bigger curiosity came to ask a question. Alexandra Elizabeth's question was, what is the most important question? Albert thought Alexandra Elizabeth had a very wise question, and he told her so. He knew that questions as well as answers can be wise. He thought about this question for a long time. Alexandra Elizabeth had to be very patient waiting for the answer. She was more curious than she had ever been in her whole life. She knew the most important question wouldn't be the sort that most people ask, such as, will it rain tomorrow? Where do babies come from? Why did dinosaurs disappear from the earth? What would he say? Finally, Dr. Einstein believed he knew the most important question and what it was. A large crowd gathered to hear him reveal what he thought was the most important question, and Alexandra Elizabeth was right in front. Dr. Einstein cleared his throat and announced the most important question: is the universe a friendly place or not? Then, since it was the most important question in his opinion, he suggested that each person think about his or her own answer. After that, he sat down and looked over at Alexandra Elizabeth and smiled. Alexandra Elizabeth listened to those around her. She heard someone say, "What a dumb question. That's a waste of time. Maybe he's not so wise after all." Alexandra Elizabeth just sat quietly and began to think about her own answer to the most important question. Albert asked Alexandra Elizabeth and her father if they would like to come to his house for lunch before they began their long journey home. He said he hoped they liked peanut butter and banana sandwiches because that's all he knew how to cook. As they ate their sandwiches, he asked her if she was curious about discovering her answer to, is the universe a friendly place or not? And because her mouth was full, she just nodded enthusiastically. Her eyes were shining. After lunch, she thanked Dr. Einstein and told him she was going to ask her mother to make peanut butter and banana sandwiches for her at least once a week. On the trip home, she had lots of time to think. Ever eat peanut butter and banana sandwiches? I'm curious about. Oh, okay, there are some. Good. On the trip home, she had lots of time to think. She knew she could answer with a simple yes or a no, but she wanted to know why she felt the way she did. Alexandra Elizabeth remembered Dr. Einstein telling her that each person carried the answer inside. So she closed her eyes. Pictures began to form in her mind. She saw faces of people who looked afraid that others were not going to be nice to them. She watched as she saw herself smile at someone new in school. An image of people shouting at each other on the sidewalk floated into her head. She felt strong at the idea of being brave enough to try something new. Imagining someone mistreating a puppy made her sad. But then she pictured herself picking up a book for an old woman who had dropped it. She thought about how much safer she felt if her parents listened to her when she was scared. She found herself thinking of the pansies in the park, the sun sparkling like stars on the pond near her grandmother's house. Heard herself singing back to birds, and the time she had so much energy that walking just naturally turned into skipping. Alexandra Elizabeth opened her eyes and felt so good she laughed out loud. Then, being curious, she wondered, where do laughs come from? Why did dinosaurs disappear from the earth? Whoop, I already changed the, here we go, okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, they came from inside herself. She knew her answer to, is the universe a friendly place or not? And she realized that the way she thought created the way she felt. And she began to wonder why Albert believed it was the most important question. She wondered how others would answer the question. Would their answer change if they changed the way they thought? Have you thought about your answer to the most important question? Sort of fits the group here, the universe, the universal. So, thank you. And I'm sad to say that I didn't bring a bunch of banana and peanut butter sandwiches to share with you after this.
And now we're going to do the offering. And if you are a guest here, that is, your presence is your gift to us. Thank you for your loving hands, your loving heart, your loving ways. Thank you for the gifts you bring into the world each day. And if you ever doubt yourself, remember us who love you well. We know the gifts you bring into the world each day. So thank you for your loving hands, your loving heart, your loving ways. Thank you for the gifts you bring into the world each day.
Thank you. So the first reading today is an excerpt from Rumi's poem, The Great Wagon. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. And now we do the second song.
What are you afraid of? It's on page 4. the Open Your Heart songbook.
What are you afraid of? What do you desire? Life is free beyond belief. Life is free beyond belief. Dive into the water. Walk through the fire. What are you afraid of? What do you desire? Life is free beyond belief. Life is free beyond belief. Dive into the water. Walk through the fire.
Okay. Where to start? Following breadcrumbs. There's a map waiting to lead us to a beautiful territory. A map designated by breadcrumbs. So let's begin in a way you're used to beginning many times, by doing some breathing together. Breathing that's taught by folks at Heart Math. So just follow along with me a little bit. Relax, kind of settle into where we are. Get into this space, in this place where we share together. And take a deep breath. A deep breath in, a little slower than normal, and a little deeper than normal. Resting at the top. And then letting it out, letting your jaw relax, your ears relax, shoulders relax into the space below your chin, below your collarbone, into your heart space. And take another breath from this place. A deep breath in, a slow, easy, deep breath. Resting at the top again and relaxing, settling more deeply into this place of our hearts where everything is connected, everyone is connected. There's no separation. There's only one of us here. As we take another deep breath in, into this space of the heart. And relaxing more deeply and more completely into this place of connection. So, following breadcrumbs indeed. I'm by no means a deep student of Carl Jung, yet there are parts of his work that have recently shown up in my life, and very likely maybe yours as well. The one I'm thinking of is curiosity he had in his later life. What in the world are synchronicities? And what do they mean? They're breadcrumbs, he says, indicating we're on the right path, the path of our life's purpose. First off, I want to tell you that the first reference to this Einstein quote showed up that we did, what's the most important question? Showed up for me in about 2009. and it showed up simultaneously with two other quotes of his. A collection of crumbs that got my attention. I was familiar with the other two, but not this one. First was, you can't solve a problem with the same kind of thinking that was used when it was created. And then this one, is the universe friendly or not? And then the third one, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Synchronicity big time for me. These all just popped into my awareness from different places at the same time. Breadcrumbs. The Kool-Aid was refreshing and I drank it. Yes, the universe is friendly. And so you might ask now, as I did back in 2009, but what about all the chaotic shit happening around the world? I don't want to give shit a bad name here, but I'm using it. And it's even more intense now than back 15 years ago. What about that? Well, because this yes was more than a mental thing. It was and is a deep heart resonance. I recognized then, as I do now, that if there isn't evidence that the universe is friendly, it's my job to create some evidence. And what is evidence but something science uses to test a theory? I can create evidence, and more importantly, we can create evidence, I think, can't we? That supports Alexandra Elizabeth's answer. A short agenda here as articulated by Michelle Smallwright. Some of you may know her in her Paralander garden work. Here's what we're doing. We're following breadcrumbs. Here's the direction in which I'm inviting you to join me. As citizen scientists, let's explore the world associated with dying and death. And here is the purpose of this experiment. To emancipate ourselves from the bondage of suffering around dying. Not necessarily pain that might be associated with it, but the suffering that comes with the fear of death. The seed of very early crumb of this experiment, the early evidence that the thinking I had been taught and was practicing was not the only thinking available. It came 20 years before the Einstein crumbs showed up. It was the death of my sister-in-law where my core shifted. The week between her death and her funeral was filled with exploring as many ways as I could think of that she was a blessing in my life. I wrote and recorded and edited and wrote and cried and recorded and listened to what I was feeling and remembering of her in my life. And during the funeral, she came to me and communicated in ways that abolished any fear I had of death. And that remains. Standing there, eyes closed in prayer, she came to me as clearly as you're sitting in front of me. She was in this color, this cloud of salmon pink light. She had a rose that was that color. Looking deep into my eyes, she reached out. She took my face in her hands and let me know I was special to her as well, and that she was in this place of peace, beauty, joy, happiness, and delight, and there was nothing to fear. I shared this with others with similar results. I even tried to create a business of spreading this information. That didn't work out. And I'm recognizing that it was because our economic system is based to a large extent on scarcity, which is based on fear of suffering while dying and ultimately fear of death, not in resonance. That was a hard lesson for me and several who supported the idea. And reading that we're going to do a little bit later by John O'Donohue, he says, "This beginning has been quietly forming waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, your purpose, feeling the emptiness growing inside you. Indeed, as we just sang, what are we afraid of? Shortly before the Einstein trilogy came, a person who became a very dear friend and a co-conspirator for peace and showed up in my life. She was a really clear and devoted Quaker. Joe Beal was a student of Jung, a Jungian analyst, a friend of Ram Dass, and a Rumi fan, among so many other qualities and characteristics. And because she had a blood disorder since childhood and early exposures to chemicals, she had 28 encounters. This is true. I mean, I wasn't there for all of them, but I was there for several of them. And her daughter agrees. She had 28 encounters with death. Some were where she crossed over and returned, and others where she was right at the doorstep. Her very favorite poem that you would always refer to when there was any dissonance, and harmony for that matter, was Out Beyond Ideas of Wrongdoing and Right Doing. There is a field, I'll meet you there. And that's where she eventually met everyone. We talked about my experience with my sister-in-law and her experience dancing around the veil between worlds. We began to form a plan as she entered her final approach to the place in between. No more heroics, no more resistance. Growing acceptance as she entered into hospice, which was extended 3 times. A little experiment was emerging where we agreed that whichever of us was the first to take our last breath would look for that door and hold it open. If I or she could, and the other would be open to the energy flowing through that portal and allow miracles to happen, like the one that I had experienced with my sister-in-law. Rumi says, people are going back and forth across the door sill where the 2 worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. It's a long and beautiful story, this one with Joe, which there's not time for here yet. I love telling it. I'll just say that each of us showed up to play our part in the experiment, giving evidence in support of the theory of a friendly universe, including the space between life and death. The week following her last breath was the beginning of a series of powerful, powerful experiences coming directly from out in that field. Out of that experience that was shared by 20 or 30 others during her celebration of life, just about exactly a year ago, her daughter Juliet and I have been putting this process into form that we shared with one another, and are slowly inviting others into this citizen science experiment. Just a question here, do you experience a deepening of an agreement when you sign your name to a document? You do, don't you? Well, that's what we're doing. So this is called Grandma's Gift Portal Tender Survivor Agreement. I'll just read what our agreement was between John Delmer Brown and Juliet Grummond Beal on this day, April 6th, 2025. And so the first one to die, if I am, this is my signature, my pledge, my agreement. I, John Delmer Brown, agree to be in complete mutual alignment with Juliet, that if I am the first to take the last breath between us, and am the first to die, as perhaps my last gift to you, I will go to heaven's portal. I will find it open a bit, and I'll open it fully as wide as possible for me, and indiscriminately flow divine energy to you and all around you. And the survivor, I, Juliet Grumman Beale, also agree that if I survive your last breath and heartbeat, John, I will breathe as we practiced, just as we did beginning here. Feel the resonance of our hearts and relax into any and all divine energy's blessings, flowing to me and through me. Miracles I cannot comprehend, yet that I am alert to experience. And then there's a place for a signature of the portal tender, we'll call it, and the survivor, and the former address of the portal tender and the address of the survivor, and then we alternate it. And so it would be, I, Juliet Grumman Beale, agree to be in complete mutual alignment with John, that if I am the first to take the last breath, and it goes on like that. So we each have a copy of it as a survivor and as a portal tender. And then a list of all of the people that is with the portal tender, so that when her body is found, having taken its last breath, there's a list of people to call to let know that to be alert and awake to the possibility of this unusual experience. I've entered into this agreement with 6 or 7 others, and just the experience of reading, articulating out loud, and signing the paper is powerful. Well, 8 now, because the possibility, the question really emerged. What about entering into such an agreement with someone who's already died? This question showed up just after engaging in a most recent ceremony of signing, so I decided to give it a test. On my 79th birthday, this last March 7th, I set out to write to my mother and tell her as many of the things I could think of that she did for me, that contributed to where I am now in my life. And I really love who and where I am at this stage in this amazing life. It's a long list that I had never thought of at one time, let alone written before. There were a few yeah buts and what abouts that tried to creep in the beginning, but they faded as I continued on, a rampage of appreciations that couldn't be stopped or dampened. Forgiveness is perhaps a side effect of appreciation. Think about that. I am. When that was complete, I read and signed the agreement. And then I claimed to be her representative in this matter and read and signed her name. I dated it 2 days before her death, which was in 1994. That night, I had a dream. It was a Technicolor and surround sound dream. I was on stage singing with a pianist in the audience of 1,000 people. The headline didn't show and we filled in. I was confident and clear, and the music we played resonated with everyone in the auditorium. This was a new and very delightful experience for me. I never really had that Technicolor dream before, and certainly not a surround sound, just stereo sound. And the next night was similar, a different song, a different setting, yet bright and clear and confident. And now, she's a much more active participant in the work I do, like putting this together, this talk and this exploration in the dynamics between living and dying and that thin edge, maybe not an edge at all. Time and space, it seems, don't have such a strong hold in this field out beyond. I will say that appreciation seems to be a very powerful catalyst for success of this experiment. Written and spoken, read and listened to in your own voice are powerful ingredients to include. Want to be a citizen scientist with us? Test the hypothesis? I have a sign-up sheet with me, and I'll send a copy of the agreement to you if you sign up, and to try on with me and or others in your life with whom you'd like to change the experience of dying and death from one of fear to one of anticipating that final gift. abolishing the slavery and bondage of fear, and none too soon. Is there any evidence we can give of a friendly universe? Any other evidence? There are breadcrumbs in your future. Give attention to them and to the territory they're mapping. And what about breadcrumbs? Karen mentioned it. It was at Sunflower Bakery where actual breadcrumbs brought she and Ken and I into close and growing friendship. And that brought me here today with you. How good can it get? Now we turn to, yeah, okay. We do a silent meditation. Okay, thank you.
Time for reflections. Anyone?
Thank you, John, for reminding me of one of the most extraordinary friends I have ever had in this life. Her name was Masa Getz, and she was extremely interested in all that happens in the world and everything in between. And she believed that when she died, she was going to go out her door and come back into her kitchen, and there would be two gay men who were going to take care of her. One was going to do the yard work, and one was going to be in the kitchen. And she had no fear of death because she had this anticipation of what a great experience it was going to be. And when Masa was on her journey of dying, I was fortunate enough to have a little break in my travel schedule to fly to San Diego from Denver and be with her and these other friends of ours as she went on this journey to dying. And I've never known anybody else who had no fear of death. It was complete anticipation. And it changed my world at that time to, kind of as you say, there was an agreement. She'd signed it, not only signed it, she was walking it. And so thank you for reminding me of her, and I hope everyone gets at least one of these people in our lives to have an agreement with about anticipating death.
Yeah, and I hope each one of us has the opportunity to be one of those people. Not just to know one, but to be one for someone else.
Anyone else? Oh my goodness, yes. Okay. I saw several hands.
Thank you, John. I had to look it up because I think it's a huge, not just a huge, but a great mental shift and a good reminder. That Einstein quote that you started with the beginning, that we cannot solve our problems, is the same thinking we used when we created them. I think as we think about our worldly and otherworldly problems, you know, whether it be death, our citizenship in our nation currently, communities, whatever it is, that in order to solve those problems and to be true progressives, we have to use our imagination. We can't just be stuck in the same mindset that we came into those problems with.
Who are you pointing to, Ken? Oh, okay. Who else? Oh, yeah, Catherine.
Thank you for your service and just the portals. I am currently caring for my parents, caring quote unquote, and I'm not sure if they expect themselves to go anytime or what the case is, but I'm just holding with the mystery of faith and Ishvara Pranidhana, and just daring to dream anything is possible, the possibility of peace, Shanti.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Yes, and there isn't a time limit on this. You don't have to be 6 inches away from the portal to make the agreement. You don't have to have someone in that place, although most of us do. It can be done in the prime of life. And you don't know when that prime may be altered. But it's a good thing to have, and I think we're exploring. This is an experiment. Is this something that has validity in other people's lives? So it's been a really fun thing to engage with, and it was on hold. As we'll listen to O'Donoghue talk here, for a long time. I was aware of it. I talked with people about it, but I never had someone who was willing to enter into this agreement until Joe showed up. And then we worked with it and played with it and back and forth around it. And it was really a rich time for us to consider as she was also approaching her last breath. That there was something else to focus on. There was a purpose in that last breath more than what we had anticipated, what she was thinking about until we did this agreement thing. And then who knew that anything would happen? And the stories that came out of that are just, for me, phenomenal, life-changing things. And I won't get into those at this stage, but so.
Let's do the reading.
Yes.
So next we're going to read this poem that's written right in the order of service by John O'Donoghue, for a new beginning. And John will read the left inset words, and I will lead you in reading the italics.
For a new beginning, in the out-of-the-way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander.
This beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge.
For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you.
Noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown.
It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered.
Heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent. Wondered, would you always live like this?
Then the delight when your courage kindled and out you stepped onto new ground.
Your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you.
through your destination, though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening.
Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire.
Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease and risk.
Soon you will home in a new rhythm. For your soul senses the world that awaits you. Now we're going to sing. My Life Flows On, an Endless Song. It's in the Singing the Living Tradition, number 108.
I first heard this song of Pete Seeger sang, and I thought it was his, and then I thought it was the New Troubadours, and now I guess it's something before that. So it's been around a while.
My life flows on in endless song, a barbard's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ring. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
We'll now extinguish the chalice. And say with me, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth and the warmth of community or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now we have the closing circle. Shalom, we will sing. And feel free to just go right across the hall and enjoy a little bit of coffee and tea. The Plymouth folks left their coffee for us so that we don't waste anything. Thank you. Circle.